Hello, welcome to RT Magazine, a show about Middletown High School, its students, and the community. News about you and for you. I'm Reagan Van Pelt. In our first segment, Madisyn Ledder gives the inside scoop on senior Leila Melby's journalism internship.
I got the job because Middletown Magazine was actually super interested in working with a high school student because they wanted somebody to specifically cover sports and the high school in general in Middletown.
Junior Addy Smith shares background on her horse rodeo career with Charlotte Claney.
I rodeo mostly. I do the little jackpots here and there, and then I also, just recently, junior year, I started doing the Middletown equestrian team.
And in our final segment, Holly Orcutt sits down with her sister Violet Orcutt to find more about the popular trend of crochet.
I like making stuffed animals, but it is cool to be making like bags. This is another one of my bags that I have right here. It is fun to like make stuff that you can use in day-to-day life because then you're constantly reminded like, hey, I did that, that's so cool.
This week's show is brought to you by
the D. Buchanan Studio of Dance, Middletown's home for dancers. Come dance with us.
Leila Melby, a senior at MHS, is interning at a local magazine, Neighbors of Middletown, where she writes articles about Middletown students and community news.
Leila Melby, a senior at Middletown High School, has spent much of her time working for Neighbors of Middletown magazine. She hopes this internship will better prepare her for a career in journalism.
I got into journalism because in 8th grade I received a letter that said I would be a good fit for the journalism class in high school, which is something Mr. Katie does for students who are super interested in English, or maybe their English teacher recommended them. And I didn't really know what journalism was. I knew what a reporter was, but I guess I didn't know the actual term for it. And I looked at it and I was like, wow, this is like a combination of everything I love, so I thought it would be a great fit for me.
Melby explains more about the start of her internship.
I got the job because Middletown Magazine was actually super interested in working with a high school student because they wanted somebody to specifically cover sports and the high school in general in Middletown. So I had to write a sports article in under like a day, which was super hard, but I ended up doing an article on the Middletown girls flag football team, and they really liked it, so they thought I was a good fit for the job.
Melby mainly writes articles and some photography work. She explains more on what her job consists of.
So every month I have a couple of deadlines. I have to do at least 2 sports articles, and then I usually do like just one article about something that's going on at Middletown. Like an example, I did the AP art show. When we did a Christmas Carol, I covered that. And then I also do the most recent real estate sales in Middletown and just other things that they asked me to do.
Melby mentioned some of her inspiration in journalism.
Definitely the biggest person is Mr. Katie. I owe pretty much everything to him. He's taught me literally everything I need to know about journalism. He's taken time to just sit down and work on my articles with me, and I've really seen progress in my writing. I also think that my mom has inspired me a lot too.
Noah Katie, Melby's journalism teacher at Middletown High School, talks about the way he feels about Leila as an aspiring journalist.
I've known Leila for 4 years now. She's been in my journalism class, and from the beginning, being a journalist is all she's ever wanted to be. She has very high ambitions, and I think that she has the potential to reach them because I've seen her grow over these past few years.
Katie describes Melby's future for journalism as a realistic goal and thinks she will have much success when pursuing journalism with a passion.
Hopefully I want to get an internship as well in college in New York City because there's so many connections. You have the Times, the New Yorker, the Wall Street Journal, and PACE really gives out those opportunities for internships. So hopefully those internships turn into a job.
With Melby's current internship, she has been practicing a lot in the journalism field. She has even gotten some of her own articles published and is ready to start a new journalism chapter at Pace University.
In our next segment, MHS junior Addy Smith spends her after-school time attending and competing in horse rodeos. Smith gives background about the sport.
Addy Smith, MHS junior, is not only a student but a state champion in her favorite thrilling sport, rodeo horse riding.
Well, I was kind of born into horses. My family has owned a farm since I was 1.5. I started riding at 2. I do a little bit of everything. I rodeo mostly. I do the little jackpots here and there, and then I also, just recently, junior year, I started doing the Middletown equestrian team. And I've rodeoed since 7th grade, and they're practically almost every weekend. I really got into rodeo just because I like the adrenaline of it. I used to play soccer, so kind of quit soccer for horses, but horses really inspired me and motivated me to get a good work ethic and stuff like that. So my family owns a 124 acres farm, and I own 6 horses on there. 5 of them I compete with now, and I have 2 project horses coming up where they're kind of just babies. They don't really know all that yet, and then I have 3 other horses that are true main competitors and athletes. I have my main horse Bentley that I run barrels on. She's a really great horse, has won me so much money and all kinds of achievements. And then I have Romeo. He is my pole horse. I use him for a lot of high school rodeo events. And he's also has won me so much money and so many good achievements. With rodeo, it's all speed. Doesn't matter how sloppy it looks or anything like that. It's just all speed. Horses love their job. They know that they're athletes. They know that they get trained to do this. And it's funny when they go little bunny hops into the alleyway, and it really builds up the adrenaline and motivation for it. We have jackpots where it's 1D through 5D. Where it's like kind of like different divisions, just like how different sports teams have like varsity and JV. We have payout through every 5 in the top of 1D, 2D, 3D, etc. With actual rodeos themselves, top 5 gets money, and that's anywhere from $20 to $1,000. But as soon as I graduate, I'm thinking of getting my pro card just so I can go all over the place, everywhere basically. When I was first getting into it, luckily I had a good trainer that really got me into it. But I mean, if anyone wanted to get into it, there's a lot of great associations. Luckily in Middletown, there's Settle Down Farm that teaches barrel racing lessons. There's a lot of good places around here that people could get into it. Luckily, I have a great family that supports me, and then I have a lot of great friends that support me, but my parents, neither of them ride, especially my mom. She tries her hardest, but it don't work out too great. It's a really great community. I ride with a lot of people, anywhere from ages to practically 4 to 60 something. Everybody's kind of there for each other. We all cheer on each other even though we're going against each other. I've learned a lot of lessons from it. And honestly, anybody that would be scared to get into it, it's a really great community. I've met so many great people from it.
Violet Orcutt has taken an interest in crocheting little projects for her family and friends, and even her classmates in the classroom. She talks about her learning experience and some tips and tricks on some crochet patterns that are her favorite.
Hi, I'm Violet Orcutt, and this is my crocheting journey. Honestly, what got me into crocheting was one of my friends. We were in her basement, and we were trying to figure out what to do with this old piece of yarn that she had from way back in the day. It was old. And she just gave me a crochet hook, and she was like, hey, let's watch a YouTube video and learn how to crochet. And I was like, okay. So, fast forward, I crochet now. Honestly, a YouTube video, a crochet hook, a safety pin, and yarn, old yarn, pretty much. I would say both, and here's why. Like, it's a fun hobby when you think about it and you see all the projects and you're like, oh my gosh, this seems so fun. You see people having fun doing it. And then once you try to do it yourself, you're like, oh wait, I actually have to put energy into this. So it becomes a little bit of a problem, and that's why some people quit, is because there's so much stuff you can do that it overwhelms them, and they don't. But once you realize that everything is the exact same, just repeated in different ways, it gets pretty easy. I would say they're similar by the fact that you're using your hands and you're using yarn to create a piece of art or work. They're different by that they do it in different ways. Knitting, you use knitting needles, which is just 2 strands that you knit together with yarn. A crochet hook is a physical hook that you loop the yarn instead. So my first project, this is the one I did in the basement, it was this tiny little flower that I'm pretty sure I did wrong, but it's fine. I probably should have started with a circle, wouldn't recommend that, but this is my first project. My most recent is this big bag that I made like a couple days ago. Yes, the difference between a whole bag that I lined and everything and this little completely wrong flower. Probably around a year now. Either like a year and a half. I don't know the exact date, but somewhere around there. I do like making stuffed animals, but it is cool to be making like bags. This is another one of my bags that I have right here. It is fun to like make stuff that you can use in day-to-day life, because then you're constantly reminded like, hey, I did that, that's so cool. My favorite yarn to work with is probably this plushy yarn that I like to use because it's soft and but it's also easy to work with on like the hook if you have the right size hook. My least favorite, I despise this with all of my being, it's velvet yarn. This frays a lot. By that I mean that the actual fluffiness of the velvet falls off when you use it. So at that point you're just using strands and then it gets chunked up like this, so it doesn't become a ball of yarn anymore, it just becomes a blob, which is not the easiest to use. Not during school, because I usually put that on the back burner while I'm doing school because of homework and studies and all of that. But during the summer, yeah, it's pretty drastically changed because I do it like almost every day during the summer. My best project is probably the blanket that I made. This blanket took me a long time to make, like weeks on end. We bought like 8 skins of yarn, which is like 8 balls of yarn that you'd get at the store, and I just sat there crocheting it for forever, and it's the same stitch everywhere. It's just double crochet the whole time. And I remember me being so frustrated because I was like, I just want to do something else other than double crochet, and now that it's finished, I want to do it again, and I don't know why. A couple pieces of advice would be, first, don't give up when you see a complicated pattern, because you won't realize that it looks complicated, but once you have like a realization of SC just means single crochet, and you know what a single crochet is, you just realize how repetitive it is, so that pattern turns into something that's super easy, and you can just kind of look at it and be like, okay, I know how to do this very easily. Also, get the right equipment. It is basically impossible to do it without the right equipment. I have tried and I have failed. Those who have succeeded, I am proud of you. I didn't do it. People have succeeded in using like hair clips and stuff like that. No, I can't do that. I need the right equipment. And it's not that hard to get. It's honestly just go to like a craft store. I go to Joann's and Michael's. Those are probably the cheapest places you're gonna find them. Just look at a crochet hook. I promise you, any worker will probably know what you're talking about, and they'll be able to help you. It's been a huge stress reliever, but also a stressor. It's kind of both at the same time, but let me tell you why. Because some projects you do get frustrated on. It is how the human body works. When we can't get something right the first time, we get angry about it. But you have to it works on your patience, which is really nice if you're trying to collaborate with people you don't like. You just are calming down, you're just like, okay, I can do this. And then once you finish it, you're like, this looks so cool, but I can look at it and see all the frustration and the blood, sweat, and tears I put into it, and everyone's like, that stitch is wrong, and I'm like, really? After all this time, you're gonna tell me when the stitch is wrong? But it's also a stress reliever, because when you're working on a project that you do like, you honestly don't really... The hours seem to fly by, and then all of a sudden you started at 10 a.m. and then it's now 6 and your mom's asking where dinner is and you're like, dinner. So it's super stress relieving and just kind of you get to calm down. You can watch when you get a little more advanced about it, and you can start like doing a couple stitches without looking at the actual work, which took me a while, so don't think you're going to do that automatically. I disappointed myself with that fact. You can like watch your favorite TV show, probably a rerun of one of your favorite TV shows, and you can just sit there and crochet, and you can look at your pattern on your phone every now and again, or I use a lot of online patterns, so I just look at my phone, but you can buy books. I have crochet books, and you can just kind of sit there and enjoy life, snuggle up on a blanket while crocheting. Like, it is just a super fun stress reliever when you're working on something you really enjoy.
That's it for this episode of RT Magazine, part of the Roundtable's multimedia experience. Thanks for watching. You can find all our episodes on mhsroundtable.com, or you can download our app, Student News Source, for access to our articles, videos, and podcasts. Have a great weekend!